Here we go again. We're at the 5:30 p.m. Sports Bar and Gaming Lounge in Clock Tower Plaza. Today we've got 2 PC game reviews. 2 pretty good games actually. And we have for you more multiplayer action as we take another look at Modern Warfare 3. That and more coming up. You've just entered the lab. Our first review is for a game released in August 2010. Here's Mafia 2 for the PC.
Over the years I got a bit turned off from sandbox games, the what was then called GTA clones. My first run-in with one of these was with the original GTA. Yeah, I'm pretty sure most of you watching now never even knew about these humble beginnings. Well, this little bird's eye view style game was how Grand Theft Auto used to look. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about GTA. My point is I started playing sandbox games as early as this, but after GTA entered the big leagues with GTA 3 in 2001, we started to see a lot of these games popping up. True Crime, Godfather, etc.
They call it the City of Angels. Funny, in my 30 years here, I haven't seen a single one.
I really wasn't able to get too far with GTA 3 and never really bothered with the others. I'm just the kind of gamer who likes a clear goal.
The go anywhere do anything genre can't seem to keep my attention, and that's why I haven't picked up games like Skyrim yet.
Don't get me wrong, I'm sure these are all really great games, but to each his own, right?
Okay, we're good.
I'm glad. Next time, we can give you twice the amount.
But this is where Mafia 2 comes in. Here we have a game that could easily be considered a GTA clone, but this game is probably what's going to make me get back into and finally complete a GTA game. I'm sure GTA and those other open world type games like Skyrim all have a specific goal and ending, but with so many distractions, I mean like going to the bowling alley on a date and that kind of stuff, it's easy to lose focus.
We play ball and sit in the sun, but, well, you know how it is.
So the first good thing I noticed about Mafia 2 was the story. From the get-go it had me hooked. It really goes into detail and helps the player connect, not just with the protagonist Vito, but with all the other characters and even Empire Bay itself.
My name is Vito Scaletta. I was born in Sicily in 1925.
The story is this: you're Vito Scaletta, and alongside your friend Joe, you're both basically making a name for yourself on the streets of Empire Bay, working hard to move up the ranks in the Mafia. The story is told well with not only great cutscenes and voice talent, but actual events that take place in the game. From your life in the army fighting in World War II, to hitting the streets to make money, help your family, going to prison and more. Really deep and compelling story. Grabs you and keeps you. Not the kind of game you'll be playing and halfway and you forget what you were fighting for in the first place.
Never in my life had I seen anything as fantastic as Empire Bay.
The overall realistic feel of this game also helps with the immersion process. Most of this realism comes from the story, but you also experience this from people's interactions with you. Picking a lock, breaking a car window, or getting stopped by the police for speeding on the highway. Real nice.
Possible Grand Theft Auto. 10-4.
The characters in Mafia 2 are like no others I've experienced. Now, while I'm not the biggest fan of the whole Mafia Godfather genre or the era, I found that I actually cared about what was going on in the lives of these virtual people. I was interested in what would happen next. Who would be the next sellout, the next great assist? It all had me.
Oh, dearly call her nanny go to make it pretty baby or Sunday go.
Let's move on to the gameplay. I'll start with the strong points. Like I said earlier, I really get distracted by many of these open world sandbox games, but in Mafia 2 one of the several things that help you out is the inclusion of waypoints. You're able to set up a waypoint on your map so you'll never get lost. You'll be able to follow a clear line to your objectives. Then the gunfights, real easy to get into, like Uncharted and Gears of War. You have an effective cover system like we're used to. Aiming is a breeze and your guns are all pretty effective and work the way you'd expect them to. No problems here. The stealth stages. They had me worried for a second. I thought there might have been a low point like in some other games I've played like Rise to Honor and Hulk, where everything was going fine and then the stealth stages came up, bored the hell out of you and frustrated you with poor mechanics. But no, sneaking about in Mafia 2 and executing a stealth kill was a worthwhile addition that did not hinder the game's momentum.
Nice. Alright, let's just sneak through here.
Another point goes to the game's duration. I've read where people who love the game said this was the only low point in the game. And this is understandable. Mafia 2 is one of the best games I've ever played, so it's not the kind of game that'll leave you begging for the credits to roll. But I'm the kind of gamer who believes in letting go. Yeah, I'm always ready to move on to the next title. If you're the kind of gamer now who has a small collection of games and would like to get the absolute most out of every single title you own, then I get why you'd complain about its duration. But look at the bright side, there's always some good old DLC. The overall duration of the game was more than enough to get the story across. I wasn't left wanting more. The ending was a bit depressing, yeah, but still, there was really nothing more I needed to see. Here's some of the less than stellar things I noticed though. There were no game killers, you know, but I have to exercise some empathy in these reviews. Kinda look at it through the eyes of other people, you know, and of course, even though I love this game, it's not perfect.
You want to end up just like your buddy here? Come on, take a good look.
No, the fact that it seems to have a very linear path. This is great for me, but not for all. The path isn't 100% linear and set in stone. You can do a bit more stuff, but it's not in your face like GTA titles.
Sounds good to me.
Where we headed?
Hunters. I got it all lined up.
So yes, for persons who love their side missions and so on, this isn't gonna be their favorite title. Then the difficulty level. I played it as usual on the hardest setting, but even then, the game wasn't that hard. It got a bit irritating closer to the end, but nothing that I couldn't get through with relative ease after dying a couple of times. The car physics, not so great. While driving on a regular journey, it's really no big deal, but get into a car chase and then you feel the pinch. I always bring this up, but the checkpoints. This was one of my favorite things with Halo when I first played it. Checkpoints overload. Not here though. Now the checkpoints aren't like government cheese, but I just hate starting over. So when I mess up, I'd like to be put back a little bit closer. And maybe I'm just a lazy gamer. A few more small peeves. For a city like Empire Bay, that's so seriously infested with crime, there sure are a lot of cops around. It seems like every corner there's a cop car parked or pulling up. A criminal can't seem to break the law in peace around here.
Vehicle theft in progress. In pursuit of suspect.
Then the melee. Not the worst based on the type of game this is, but far from the best. After going to prison, you kinda get a better understanding of how it works though.
Peppy here's got a big fight coming up. Against O'Neill. He needs a sparring partner. And from what I saw of you out there in the yard, you're just the man for the job. You're gonna help us out, kid. In return, you'll be under my protection. And who knows, maybe you'll even learn a thing or two along the way.
Okay, now as usual, I save the worst for last, and it's not that bad either. But the camera wasn't too great. It got a bit annoying at times. And as for the gunfights, the only problem I have with this would be the lack of blind fire. Now this might have been an oversight on my part. If it was, feel free to shoot me an email telling me how it's done. Because at one point in this game I thought I couldn't even do a manual reload, but that was just due to my own negligence. Like I said in earlier episodes, I don't read the instructions, but I'm pretty sure there was no blind fire. If there was, then it's still a problem. A thing like that should be effortless to execute. The guys fighting alongside you were able to blind fire, so you should too.
Vito, kick the door in!
And here's the worst thing about Mafia 2, and it's totally subjective. If you own a really great gaming rig or graphics card, then this will not apply to you, but Mafia 2 for the PC seems to be a bit more power hungry than it should be. I suffered some serious frame rate issues with it. Now, I know my graphics card isn't the latest, but I've been able to play games like Homefront and Modern Warfare 3 on my rig with very little to no lag. But not in Mafia 2. I've done some research and apparently this isn't an isolated problem either. Others have experienced this. I'm really trying to rack up on my PC library, but maybe for this problem alone I should have bought this for one of the consoles. But I'm really getting into PC gaming now, and Steam is a great service, probably better than Xbox Live and PSN, or SCN, or whatever Sony wants to call it.
Vittorio Antonio Scaletta, for your crimes against the people of this city and of this great country, this court hereby sentences you to 10 years in a federal penitentiary.
So So with all these high points and just a few low ones, the lab gives Mafia 2 an 8 out of 10.
You know, fellas, my mom was right. There is a God!
After the break, we'll review Shank 2 for the PC, plus some Modern Warfare 3 and Battlefield 3 in the lobby.
Here we have our review for the recently released Shank 2 for the PC.
Drive back and tell Karina I'm gonna need some backup.
Now, Shank 2 was released February the 7th this year, and I'm glad I got it. Shank 2 follows the story of Shank, a former hitman with a pretty shady past. Now he's back on the warpath as the lives of the people he cares for are threatened. Now the story of Shank 2 is fine, nothing to write home about, but it serves its purpose. While it's a forgettable story, it does help tie the stages together nicely. Some real cool yet played out action hero stuff.
So which one of you cockroaches killed Razor and torched our camp?
Strong points of this game are these. First, graphics. Now this game takes us back to that old school side-scrolling platform vibe. A refreshing change of pace. The art style used to illustrate this return to the roots is done really well. The colors, the details, the animation are well done. From the in-game graphics to the truly entertaining cutscenes. The controls in Shank 2 are also intuitive. Real easy to get into for even the old school gamer whose favorite game was Kung Fu to the new age younger gamers. Even the player who's really casual, like the Angry Birds kind of player, could find these controls tight. This game is full of style. There's never a dull moment. You'll find that your character has more than enough entertaining ways to either dispatch the enemy or move from place to place on the stages. At a glance, this might seem like just another fast-paced button smasher, but the use of proper strategy and technique will go a far way to seeing you to the end. If you just start hitting buttons trying to use the same pounce or slash on every enemy, you'll be smashing your control into the ground in no time out of frustration. Ultimately, Shank 2 is a bit of a button smasher, but it's a button smasher that requires some strategy, especially if you're playing it on the hardest difficulty. Not only do I get more out of games from spiking the difficulty, but I really couldn't give a proper review on any other setting. The characters in Shank 2 are also a key part of the entertainment package.
I don't do causes. I'm only here to see Elena.
Presented with some great voice talent and artwork, they guarantee you hours of entertainment till the very end, from Shank himself to his crazy allies and enemies. Some of the elements of Shank 2 that fall into my OK category would be these. First, the weapons balance. Now I understand that with the whole humorous cartoon style of this game, people will be willing to overlook certain things and not take the game too seriously, which is understandable, but don't not take it seriously because it's a side-scroller. 3D or 2D does not determine whether a game is a real game or not. Shank 2 is a solid and complete game, and even though it's not sold at the $60 price tag, it's better than a lot of those games I've paid top dollar for. So my point is, I'll take this game seriously and dissect it as I do the rest. Now the balance of the weapons, even though it's a cartoon style game, is a bit off. Since when do knives do more damage than guns? When you get the shotgun and other weapons, you'll soon not pay attention to this small detail, but I noticed it and it was a bit irritating when I wanted to use the guns for speed, but had to choose the knives for damage power. Also in my OK books, again, the checkpoints. This is fine if you're playing on the normal difficulty, but can annoy you when playing through the campaign on hard. Starting over way back is never cool. But like I said, strategy. There's a way to deal with all the enemy types in Shank 2, so once you figure that out, checkpoints won't be much of a bother. It's getting to that point of enlightenment that's the problem. The boss difficulty. This I like, but it's in the OK section because as usual I'm trying to be unbiased. Some gamers like the whole elevated difficulty thing where the more you play the harder the game gets, and each boss gets harder than the one before, but not me. The way I see it is, most evil bosses would be a bully, right? And there's a reason why this boss character has all these henchmen before him or her doing the dirty work, because they can't hack it, they couldn't do it themselves. So the end boss being a wuss makes sense to me. I believe I experienced this in games like Oni and Manhunt, where the last boss wasn't really that difficult. It's great to know that after plowing through hundreds of foot soldiers, the boss is like a cakewalk. That works for me. I know some gamers love the challenge, like Ninja Gaiden. Now that was a challenge regardless of the era. Anyway, back on track. The bosses in Shank 2 aren't necessarily harder, and hardest. Like this moron here. Let's move on to the bad parts of Shank 2. First, there's this, for lack of a better word, unintelligent aiming system. Now Shank has this pounce where he springs onto the enemy like Wolverine. But this doesn't work on everybody. You can't pounce on certain bosses or enemies with shields. But if there are 3 people on screen and you hit the pounce button, Shank automatically goes to the one person who it doesn't work on. Now come on. I mean really. Now I don't know if there's a manual targeting option in Shank 2, but I really doubt it. And if there is one that I don't know about, the question still remains. Why would your character automatically attack the one person you can't harm and leave the other vulnerable ones running about? What is this? Artificial unintelligence? Then like I mentioned earlier, the game is a button smasher. One that requires a bit of thought, but still a button smasher. This can really give your thumbs and wrists a bit of a workout, but no big deal. Shank 2 is the kind of game that most gamers know what to expect when starting it up.
Get out of here!
Last thing would be the lack of campaign co-op. This was in the first, and for the type of game it is, could prove fun with some local or online co-op. There's the survival mode though, that can be done co-op style, but I'd much prefer to run through the campaign with a Steam or Origin friend online. Shank 2 is still a good game. High entertainment and shock value. Yeah, shock. This game, though it may look like a kid's cartoon, is not for the young kids or the faint of heart. It's not too long, has a couple of shortcomings, but does what it does well. The lab gives Shank 2 a 7 out of 10.
We found where they've been keeping the hostages. It's a barge a mile offshore.
After the break, we take a look at this whole Modern Warfare 3 versus Battlefield 3 debate. PG also takes us back to Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter 2, plus we take a look at Ghost Recon Future Soldier set for release in May. Stick around.
The new Ghost Recon is coming out in a few months, so today we take a look back at an old Ghost Recon in PG's pick.
Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter 2, also known as GRAW 2, the follow-up to the 2006 hit, this game delivers exactly what fans of the genre require and then some.
Captain Mitchell, sir, we all think you did a hell of a job down in Mexico City.
Once again, you play as Mitchell, the same guy from Part 1, and this game follows up immediately after Part 1. You go from one war straight to the next.
I guess after what went down in Mexico City, it'll be time for a little R&R, huh?
Maybe for you, son. Something tells me I'm just getting started.
And this time, you're after some nuclear missiles with very little time to waste. GRAW 2 has a reasonable difficulty level. At the beginning of the games, you have 3 options to choose from. I went with the obvious choice. The hardest level isn't as bad as it sounds though. Once you play with a decent enough strategy, you'll be fine. Utilize cover, don't run and gun, and work with your medics. Yeah, once you keep your head screwed on and not play this game like it was Serious Sam, then you should be fine. You're stocked with a pretty interesting arsenal, from your regular sniper rifles, SMGs and handguns to some pretty high-tech stuff.
Use your drone, boss! It'll help you locate enemies!
There's this one piece of equipment that stands out. It's a UAV-3. This device has taken the word Recon to the next level. You can send this UAV-3 over enemy territory to scout locations. It shows you what's going on and how much resistance is active in the area. Basically, the UAV-3 flies over the selected area and gives you a display on your HUD, a display of all activities in the area you sent it. You also control this UAV-3. To control the UAV-3, you go into a mode called Command Full View, better known as CFV. In this mode, you can connect to your squad members' HUDs and see through their equipment or control the UAV-3. You can also control air support and other available artillery. They call this the cross-comm system.
Cross-comm activated.
GRA2 offers a well-detailed and realistic tactical war simulation. Other than the equipment and weapons you have at your disposal, how you use them is also interesting. Like for example, when aiming your sniper rifle, you can actually hold your breath to get a steadier aim. Now this feature was available in the first one, but that doesn't take away from its coolness. Now as for the graphics, not bad but not good either. I'm not being picky, but any game made in 2007 will be subjected to this high level of scrutiny. Think about it, people. In 2007 we had monsters like Call of Duty 4, Halo 3 and Bioshock. So I can't in good conscience say GRA2 had great graphics. The graphics in GRA2 are nice, but nothing more than nice. The textures in the environments are kinda ugly, especially on the close-ups. And this is probably a good thing. The in-game graphics are better than the cutscenes. The particle effects like the explosions and gun bursts are pretty good.
Tracking. Target acquired. Damn!
So the graphics aren't bad, just not as good as they should be. The audio is a little above the graphics. Where the explosions and vehicle sounds are concerned, this is done well as the music scores. But the voice acting is pretty lame. Not Resident Evil 1 lame, but it's still pretty lame. Even the main character, Scott Mitchell, he just sounds like he's trying too hard to be cool.
I'd be honored if you'd just keep your eyes on the road, soldier.
None of this will make you like the game any less though. Overall, GRA2 is a good game, a very solid squad-based shooter, both in single player and co-op.
Set for release on the 22nd of May, here's a preview of Ghost Recon Future Soldier.
Expect tight security in the compound.
What have we got? Launch detected.
You don't win the battle.
Ghost Recon Future Soldier is set for release on the 22nd of May, and so far this title is on my top 5 list of games to watch. I'm interested in this new weapons customization mode called Gunsmith. Sounds good. Now the Ghost Recon series always had its own identity, similar to Rainbow Six. This is the direction I believe game developers need to be heading. Create your own game, your own ideas, so you create somewhat of a signature. Not like what DICE did with Medal of Honor or Digital Extremes and THQ did with Homefront. They tried too hard to compete with Call of Duty and ended up making games that promised innovation but only led to disappointments that came out looking like weak Call of Duty ripoffs. Content for another discussion though. Ghost Recon Future Soldier is shaping up real well. I look forward to playing this and Rainbow Six Patriots in the future.
Today in the lobby, the Sage gives us a few pointers on Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer.
All warfare is based on deception.
Well, Kana, this isn't so much pointers, more like my take on the whole multiplayer scene. I'll talk more Modern Warfare 3, but also some Battlefield 3. Now regarding Modern Warfare 3 and Battlefield 3, I won't get into this juvenile discussion regarding which is better. I think the major issue with some gamers come from persons who are either crazy zealots who love conflict or some gamers who can only afford one title or the other. Now I have no problem with a gamer on a budget who only buys one game every 3 months or so. No big deal. Some of us have better things to spend our cash on than video games. So if you know you're only going to buy one of the 2 major first-person shooters released for the holiday season, then it's understandable that you'd want the best for your money. But after you buy it, don't start campaigning for it like you work for DICE or Activision. Relax, just enjoy your purchase, and if you don't, then try trading it in. But this nonsense about Modern Warfare 3 versus Battlefield 3 is childish garbage.
It's persons like those that make so many ignorant non-gamers still believe video games are just for kids.
Even though we've evolved to the same audience and target market as the box office. So yeah, I'm not here to say which is better.
But I will tell you a few things I really like and dislike about both. Just a few things because this could go on forever. Modern Warfare 3. Great game obviously, but why does everything have to be a perk? Why does running more than, say, 10 feet in front of you have to be a special perk? In Battlefield 3 you can run like I'd expect a real soldier to run, not 2 seconds then start panting for air. Come on! Then in Battlefield 3, the most annoying thing in Battlefield 3 multiplayer, this tac light. What's the deal with this light? Now, both games are unrealistic, but this tactical light is beyond retarded. In real life combat, this light is used in the dark, like breaching a room to blind whoever might be inside and so on. But in Battlefield 3, people are running about 12 o'clock midday blinding you with this light. Now, whoever disagrees with me, do some research. These lights do not work this way in real life. And even though this is just a video game, these lights are really annoying. Actually, DICE seem to have gone really overboard with the whole light thing. Even the sun in your eyes seems a bit much and overdone. Gamers should be flaming that and not Call of Duty's grenade launch. I mean, that light should be called the noob tube. Back to Modern Warfare 3, with these perks. Apparently to breathe in this game requires a perk of some kind or kill streak reward. Why do you need a special perk to spot enemies at a long distance? Now, it's either you have good eyesight or not. This shouldn't be a special privilege. It's not in Battlefield 3. And why is running and reloading a problem in Modern Warfare 3? Why? You're a trained soldier, why can't you run and reload at the same time? I mean, you can in Battlefield 3. Now for both games, my question is, what's the big deal with running and shooting at the same time? Again, why? I mean, come on. I know I sound like a broken record, but can someone please explain this to me? Feel free to shoot me an email with your thoughts. I mean, but as things are, I cannot see a reasonable explanation for why a soldier can't run and shoot at the same time. How many times have you been shot because the enemy came face to face with you while you were running? You had to like stop then shoot. Why? Why do you have to stop and shoot? Running and shooting seems like a routine you should have covered in training. Come on, you're a soldier. Run and shoot.
Kill confirmed.
Now kudos to Battlefield 3 for placing the knife button somewhere else by default. I've pressed that R3 button by accident too many times in Modern Warfare 3 and got shot for it. These are all some pretty lame elements of both games and the list could go on forever, but I'll end my rant here. To sum it up for today, Modern Warfare 3 and Battlefield 3 are great games, no argument there. But all you fanboys campaigning for them like your future depending on it need to stop being biased zealots and realize that neither game is perfect. So chill. Next week I'll talk some Medal of Honor multiplayer. This game turned out better than I expected. The multiplayer aspect of it is quite good once you understand and come to terms with certain things. So next week it is then. Thanks for playing.
On the next episode of The Lab, we'll go through a bit of the multiplayer in Gears of War 3, plus a review of Medal of Honor and more. Thanks to all our gamers and non-gamers alike for watching. A special thanks to 5:30 PM Sports Bar and Gaming Lounge, the place to go for the ultimate gaming experience. Until next time, you can find us online at fabricatedprojects.com. Email us at thelabvideogametv@yahoo.com. And look us up on Facebook and Twitter. Remember, our game is never over.